Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today we are going to learn about project management. Project management is a series of actions or activities embodied in a process of getting things done on a project by working with members of the project team and other people in order to reach the project schedule, cost, and technical performance objectives. Most realistic projects that organizations undertake are large and complex, involving thousands of activities costing millions of dollars. And the stakes are really high because millions of dollars in cost overruns have been wasted due to poor planning of projects. Just to give you an example, I will talk about Barka Power Plant, which was constructed in about 2003, and it costed around 160 million reals. It was constructed in 36 months, and let's say that because of its poor planning and management, it was delayed for 1 month only. So instead of 36 months, it was completed in 37 months. So let's see how much the stakes are there by just delaying the project for 1 month only. So we have 430 megawatt of power plant and assume that it was delayed for 1 month. So let's see how much we lose. Let's convert this megawatt into kilowatts. So just 10 raised to power 3 kilowatts are equal to 1 megawatt per megawatt. Okay. And let's say we are losing for 1 month, then it would have worked for 24 hours per day and for 30 days per month. And let us assume that the loss was for per kilowatt hour, it would have sold the unit of electricity, 1 unit of electricity, which is kilowatt hour, at 10 paisa per kilowatt hour. It would have sold that 10 paisa per kilowatt hour. Let's make this in reals. So we have 1000 pesos per real, right? So 1 real has 1000 pesos. So let us see how much we lose if we delay the project by 1 month. We see over here megawatt cancels, days cancels, hours cancel, hours cancels, and kilowatt cancels, and beza cancel, and 1000 cancels with this 1000 here. So we are left with 430 multiplied by 24 multiplied by 30 multiplied by 10, and which is equal to, which is what I would say, which is greater than 3 million reals. Let's put reals, 3 million. So this one is, we are going to lose 3 million reals if we just delayed this project for 1 month because of our poor planning and poor management. So the stakes are really high. We are going to learn in this chapter about the program evaluation and review technique, which is called PERT, and the critical path method. These are the two popular quantitative analysis techniques that help managers plan, schedule, monitor, and control large and complex projects. Introduction. Much of the project management developed by the military. Initially, the application was in the military side. For example, Navy's Polaris program, which was a nuclear sub, NASA's space program, strategic defense initiatives. Here, the military, US military, has used project management to achieve their objectives. Project management has found wide acceptance in industry, and it has many applications outside of construction. When we think about project management, mostly in our mind comes that project management is used for big projects, construction projects, building a large power plant or making a skyscrapers or something like that, but it has many applications outside of construction. For example, managing legal issues, managing new product releases, launching a new product, or maybe launching a election campaign, etc. Project management is used. Main forces in driving the acceptance of project and other forms of management. Why the project management is used is because the exponential growth of human knowledge is there, the growing demand for a broad range of complex goods and services, and there is increased worldwide competition. All of these contribute to the need for organizations to do more and to do it faster. Project management is one way to do more faster. Projects tend to be large. Projects are, for example, the Channel, which is between UK and France. This was billions of dollars project. Denver International Airport, Panama Canal expansion project, Three Gorges Dam, China, this was a hydroelectric project. These are billions of dollars of projects. Projects are getting larger over time. For example, look at flying. It started with balloons, then planes, then jets, then rockets, and now reusable rockets are there. The more we can do, the more we try to do. Now, project management is also getting smaller in the sense that more people are seeing the advantages of project management techniques. The tools are becoming cheaper and the techniques are becoming more widely taught and written about. Many universities are offering master's degrees in project management, and even PhDs are there. Many PhDs are done about knowing how to manage the projects, etc. Main goals of project management: time, cost, and performance. These are the three things which the main goal of project management is there. They want to achieve the project, the objectives of the projects within specified time, within specified budget, and it should be having some performance or some kind of standard to achieve. So time, cost, and performance are all related on a project, and there is always a trade-off between these three things: time, cost, and performance. There is a Project Management Institute, which is the major project management organization, which was founded in 1969. It has grown from 7,500 members in 1990 to now more than 550,000 members, which was in 2018. The Project Management Journal and PM Network are the leading project management journals. Now, what is a project? Project is defined as a complex, non-routine, one-time effort limited by time, budget, resources, and performance specification designed to meet customer needs. So the word here is, it is a one-time effort. It is not a kind of a continuous process, as we learned about that management is a continuous process, but it is limited by time. And of course, it has a limited budget as well and resources, and there's a performance specification designed to meet the customer needs. The major characteristics of a project are then, it has an established objective, has a defined lifespan with a beginning and an end. It requires across the organizational participation, members from different functional areas comes to work on the project and to do the projects and deliver the required specification, etc. in time, in limited time and with limited budgets, etc. It involves doing something never been done before. Now, this is never been done before means that it doesn't mean that it is a totally new thing, but any new project, for example, one building is made and a similar building is now going to be constructed. This doesn't mean that it is not a project. It is a project, and because it has its own challenges, it has its own budget, it has its own resources, it has its own performance specification, etc. So it is kind of thing which is never done before also. It has a specific time, cost, and performance requirement. Now, something about multiple projects, because many organizations, they do dozens of projects each year, or even more than that, maybe hundreds of projects also, some organizations that do. And delay in one project can delay the others when handling these multiple projects. Also, there is inefficient use of resources, and there are bottlenecks in resources availabilities. There are constraints about resources, use of resources, because multiple projects will need multiple same resources at the same time, and then there are bottlenecks in resource availabilities. The projects has resulted in 30% late, over half 190% over budget, and over half 220% late. So you can see that even with project management, the performance is not that great. But having said that, if there is no project management, what would have been the result? Criteria for project selection models. Companies only want to undertake successful projects. Of course, nobody wants to do a project which has no benefits. Projects that fail waste resources, they waste resources and hurt profitability and competitiveness. Projects that succeed improve profitability and competitiveness. Obviously, companies need a way of weeding out the bad projects while keeping the good ones. And you never know the bad project. It may be sounds, or it may look great, but no model can predict with absolute certainty, for example, the Exxon Valdez wreck or the explosion of the Challenger. So the projects can go wrong and millions of dollars can go wasted. The types of project selection models are numeric and non-numeric. We will discuss the types of non-numeric models. Sacred Cow is a project often suggested by top management. Since it is suggested by top management, then it becomes a sacred cow. Nobody can touch that, and of course this project has to be carried out. Another is operating necessity. Operating necessity are those projects that are required in order to protect lives or properties or to keep the company in operation. For example, if a flood is threatening the plant, a project to build a protective dam does not require much formal evaluation. Or if the project is required in order to keep the system operating, the primary question becomes, is the system worth saving at the estimated cost of the project? If the answer is yes, the project cost will be examined to make sure they are kept as low as is consistent with project success, but the project will be funded. So non-numeric models are used in such kind of things because it has to be done because of the operating necessity. Another non-numeric model is a competitive necessity, a project that is required in order to maintain the company's position in the marketplace. So normally such projects are also carried out because the organizations, they want to be competitive. For example, buying a new software or having a new machine or something like that to construct the new plant so that they stay competitive is an important thing for the companies. These may bypass the more careful numeric analysis used for projects. Product line extension. Sometimes careful calculation of profitabilities are not required in these type of projects because the projects is to expand a product line and they are evaluated on how well the new product meshes with the existing product line rather than on overall benefits. Comparative benefit. Projects are subjectively rank ordered based on their perceived benefit to the company. So sometimes you have to see what is the comparative benefit, and you don't need some kind of evaluation of net present value or benefit cost ratio. For example, you want to build proposal to create a daycare center for employees with small children. Now, it's very difficult to evaluate, in terms of benefit cost ratio or something like that, because you are doing it for some social purposes. Or sometimes the governments do such projects which may not have some material benefits coming, like project to celebrate Eid ul-Watani. Now, celebrating Eid al-Watani project may cost millions of reals, but it is done for some other purposes. And then we have numeric models, models that return a numeric value for a project that can be easily compared with other projects. Two major categories are there: profit or profitability, such as discounted cash flow, net present value, internal rate of return, IRR, payback period or discounted payback period, profitability index or benefit to cost ratio. These are the ways to evaluate the project and rank the projects and undertake those projects which have higher, for example, NPV or less payback period or higher profitability index, etc. And another way is scoring models, in which we can use multiple criteria beside the economic criteria to score the models and then rank them, etc. Project proposals. The project proposal is essentially a project brief. The set of documents submitted for evaluation is called the project proposal. Putting together a project proposal requires a detailed analysis of the project, and it may take weeks or months to complete. When proposals are made and a more detailed analysis is done, it may result in not bidding on the project as well, because you find out that you may not have the required resources to do the project, or it may not be at the end beneficial to the organization. Normally, the project proposals are written and there is contents of these proposals. Normally they have certain items there and that we will discuss. It should have a cover letter, for example, and an executive summary. This executive summary and cover letter is required for every proposal. It should deal with 4 distinct issues: the nature of the technical problem and how it is to be approached, the plan for implementing the project once it has been accepted, and the plan for logistics support and administration of the project, and a description of the group proposing to do the work, plus its past experience in similar work. So the technical approach is there, and the implementation plan is there, and the plan for logistics support and administration, and the past experience. These are the things normally we can say that in the proposals, when the project proposals are made. There's a cover letter, executive summary, the technical approach, which gives what is the general description of the problem to be addressed or project to be undertaken. The general method of resolving critical problems is outlined in the technical approach. In the implementation plan, it is written that the project will contain estimates of the time required, the cost, and the material used. It is outlined there. Hours of work and quantities of material used are laid out there. Depending on the wishes of the parent organization and the needs of the project task schedules, for example, time charts, network diagrams, Gantt charts are given for each subsystem and for the system as a whole. Major milestones are included on the time charts. Contingency plans are specifically noted, etc., in the implementation plan. And the plan for logistics, support, and administration, the proposals includes a description of the ability of the proposer to supply the routine facilities, equipments, and skills needed during any project. Sometimes organizations they also tells that they have computer graphics, word processing facilities, video teleconferencing facilities, and many other occasionally required capabilities, which provides a touch of class. And of course, there is a past experience which has to be laid out. The basic purpose of the document is to convince a potential funder that the group and the project are worthy of support. Here is the project management process. We have planning first, and when we do planning, then after planning, of course, scheduling is there, or planning and scheduling goes together, we can say that. And once the project is ongoing, then there is a project control in which the control of its performance, its time or schedule, and its cost are controlled. And that is normally also said as earned value analysis. Now we will talk about project elements. Project plan elements. Its overview. Overview is a short summary of the objective and scope of the project. It is directed to top management and contains a statement of the goals of the project, a brief explanation of their relationship to the firm's objectives, a description of the managerial structure that will be used for the project, and a list of the major milestones in the project schedule. Then objectives or scope. This contains a more detailed statement of the general goals noted in the overview section. The statement should include profit and competitive aims as well as technical goals. It also should have something like resource feasibility, the major task involved, etc. The general approach. This section describes both the managerial and the technical approaches to the work. The technical discussion describes the relationship of the project to available technologies. For example, it might note that this project is an extension of work done by the company for an earlier project. The subsection on the managerial approach takes note of any deviation from routine procedure. For instance, the use of subcontractors for some parts of the work. Contractual aspects. A general structure of managerial reporting and performance responsibilities, including a detailed list of staff, suppliers, subcontractors, managerial requirements and agreements, reporting requirements, and a projected organizational structure is given in this contract requirements. Schedules. Schedules may include a list of all major events, tasks, and subschedules from which a master schedule is developed. Resources. The overall project budget for all resources requirements and procedures for budgetary controls are noted down in this project plan. And then personnel, identification and recruitment of personnel required for the project team, including special skills and training required, is noted down here. And risk management plans. Anticipation and assessment of uncertainties, problems, and potential difficulties that might arise, and they increase the risk of project delays and or failures and threaten the project success is noted down in risk management plans. And of course, the way to mitigate this risk is explained here. And of course, the evaluation method, the controls, procedures for monitoring and evaluating progress and performance, including schedules and cost, is given. Of course, the projects, when they are proposals are made, when the planning is done, the project return is also estimated, and the return on investment is one way of evaluating, is a measure used to evaluate projects, calculated by dividing the dollar gains minus the dollar cost by the dollar cost. So gain from project minus the cost of project divided by the cost of project. ROI, which is the return on investment, can be used to rank projects. And not all project benefits can be measured in dollars. As I pointed out earlier, there are non-numeric models for projects which are done out of necessity, operating necessity, or being to be competitive, or just you want to do for some social reasons. Like, for example, a project to celebrate Eid al-Watani. So not all project benefits can be measured in dollars. We continue with elements of project management. The project team is, for example, there. The project team typically consists of a group of individuals from various areas in an organization and often includes outside consultants. Members of engineering staff often assigned to project work. Normally what happens is that organizations have regular functional areas in which people are working, employees are there, and when the project starts, they start working on the project as well as they are working their routine jobs as well. Project teams may include workers. Most important member of project team is, of course, the project manager. And project manager is often under great pressure because of uncertainty inherent in project activities and possibilities of failure. Potential rewards, however, can be substantial because the managers are evaluated and promoted and given bonuses according to their performance done in undertaking and doing the project successfully. Project manager must be able to coordinate various skills of team members into a single focused effort, because project manager is actually coordinating the efforts of the team members to achieve the objectives of the project. Scope statement. A scope statement is a document that provides a common understanding of a project. It includes a justification for the project that describes what factors have created a need within the company for the project. It also includes an indication of what the expected result of the project will be and what will constitute project success. Further, the scope statement might include a list of the types of planning reports and documents that are part of the project management process. A similar planning document is the statement of work. In a large project, the statement of work is often prepared for individual team members, groups, departments, subcontractors, and suppliers. This statement describes the work in sufficient detail so that the team members responsible for it knows what is required and whether he or she has sufficient resources to accomplish the work successfully and on time. For suppliers and subcontractors, it is often the basis for determining whether they can perform the work and for bidding on it. Some companies require that a statement of work be part of an official contract with a supplier or subcontractor. Work breakdown structure. The work breakdown structure is an organizational chart used for project planning. It organizes the work to be done on a project by breaking down the project into its major components referred to as modules. These components are then subdivided into more detailed subcomponents, which are further broken down into activities and finally into individual tasks. The end result is an organizational structure of the project made up of different levels, with the overall project at the top level and the individual tasks at the bottom. A WBS, work breakdown structure, helps identify activities and determine individual tasks, project workloads, and the resources required. It also helps to identify the relationship between modules and activities and avoid unnecessary duplication of activities. A work breakdown structure provides the basis for developing and managing the project schedule, resources, and modification. The approaches used for WBS developments are top-down process or brainstorm the entire project. Top-down process is breaking the projects into modules, as we discussed earlier, breaking it to modules and further broken down into activities and tasks, etc. That is a top-down process approach. Whereas a brainstorm entire project approach is that the whole project is brainstormed and the activities are mentioned, and then of course the scheduling is done. Like for example, you brainstorm about the marriage activities of your brother or sister. Now, how the project of this will be carried out. You can start with brainstorming. You have to, and give invitations. You have to book the halls. Maybe you have to book for the caterers who will supply the dinner, etc. Maybe you have to book the imam who will do the nikah, etc. All these things, you brainstorm the entire project and then see the relationships of these things and find out how the project will be carried out. Here is a breakdown structure which is breaking the projects into smaller modules and then modules to tasks and activities, etc. We have a computer order processing system here, and then we have some work of hardware is there, software system, and personnel is there. In hardware, for example, we have installation, and then we have the area preparation, technical and engineer, wiring and connections, etc. This is, for example, a breaking down of the installation part. Of course, when the project is work breakdown structure is made, the responsibility assignment matrix is also done. This responsibility assignment matrix is also sometimes called linear matrix or called linear responsibility chart, also called linear responsibility chart. It shows who is responsible for doing the necessary work in the project, and the project manager assigns work elements to organizational units, departments, groups, individuals or subcontractors. Uses an organizational breakdown structure, which is OBS. And OBS is a table or chart showing which organization units are responsible for work items. And then OBS leads to the responsibility assignment matrix. Let us see this example here. We have this hardware installation here, and under that there were 3 activities: area preparation, technical and engineering, and wiring and connections. As you can see, go back to here, we have installation here, hardware installation, and then area preparation is there, technical and engineering, and wiring and connections. So this is the part shown over here. We have the organization breakdown structure units here. We have who is responsible for doing what. For example, hardware engineering department, look at the wiring, for example, the wiring activity. Hardware engineering will provide it has the overall responsibility, which is shown as 1. And then the electrical staff will actually do the work. So performance responsibility is showing 2, which means that electrical staff will do the actual wiring, and that is their performance responsibility. And the hardware vendor will supply the support needed. So this is noted down in organization. It's made an organization breakdown structure, and from there we have the responsibility assignment matrix is carried out. Project scheduling. Project schedules evolve from planning document with focus on timely completion. Critical element in project management, source of most conflicts and problems, because if the schedules are not, if the project is delayed, of course, then it is a source of most conflicts and problems are there. We have already mentioned earlier, noted down that many projects are delayed, and cost overruns are there. This is very normal, and the statistics shows that maybe more than 50% of the projects have bad statistics. Schedule development steps. Define the activities, then sequence the activities, and estimate the activity times, and then develop the schedules. There are 2 techniques used. For a simple project, Gantt chart is enough, and for large projects, CPM and PERT techniques are useful. Of course, to help us to do scheduling and of controlling, computer software packages such as Microsoft Project is available, and it has also premium version is also there, and then there are professional softwares as well which are used for project scheduling. Now, we mentioned that Gantt chart is one technique. It's very simple. It's a popular traditional technique, also known as bar chart, developed by Henry Gantt. It's a direct precursor of CPM and PERT technique, which is, we can say, more advanced for complex projects. It gives a visual display of project schedule, showing activity start and finish times and where extra time is available. It is suitable for projects with fewer activities and precedence relationships. So for smaller projects with less activities, few activities, Gantt chart is quite helpful. The drawbacks are that precedence relationships are not always discernible, which limits the charts used for smaller projects. Here's an example of a house building project. We have shown here 7 activities. Design house and obtain financing, which way what is the predecessor we note down. There is no predecessor, we can start right away, and the duration will be 3 months. Then lay foundation. Of course, the foundation will be laid. First we have the design, and the predecessor is then activity 1, and then the duration is 2 months. Order and receive materials, the third activity, and again it has the predecessor activity 1, which means that activity 2 and 3 both can be carried out in parallel. Build house is the activity number 4, and it has 2 predecessors, activity 2 and 3. Select paint, again it has 2 activities which are predecessor, activity 2 and 3. Select carpets, which is after the paints, activity 5 is its predecessor. And finish work, which is that the house is already built, which is activity 4, and the carpets are there, so this is the predecessor of the activity, last activity, activity 7, and their durations are there. So we can make this in a Gantt chart, and here is the Gantt chart showing the 7 activities we have. These are the activities here, and the number of months. You can see that the first activity starts from 0 time, and then it takes 3 months, and then these 2 activities, activity number 2 and 3, they can start parallel, and then activity 4 has both activity 2 and 3, both the activity 2 and 3 are its predecessors, so it is starting once this is finished. Activity 4 is started, and activity 5 can also start at the same time, they are parallel. And then activity 6 is when the carpet is paint is done, then the carpets can be selected, etc. And then activity 4 and 6, which is building the house, and this one carpet should be done, then activity finish work with months. So you can see that by drawing this we can tell that the total time required is 9 months to do this project. Now after scheduling, then the project control should be there, and the project control is a process of ensuring progress towards successful completion, monitoring projects to minimize the deviation from project plan and schedules when the project is undergoing. Of course, the things which have to be looked at is the schedules, the cost performance, and the specification, etc. So the corrective actions have to be taken if the deviations are there. Key elements of project control are time management, schedules, cost management, and performance management, and the way to do is called earned value analysis.